Hi, Dave Roscoe here. It is Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025, and there's not much going on, but I wanted to give you an update. And so today we'll go through some user comments, and I promise you these won't be negative. I'm not going to be trashing anybody who got a little uppity with me. These are constructive comments, and I will treat them as such. But first, the metrics. The circulating supply is 8.34 billion pi, and there were 5,230 user accounts migrated yesterday, totaling 1.69 million pi. There is currently 17.5 million pi in the Pi migration wallet, and migrations are happening now. The migrated unlocked rewards are at 3.33 billion pi, with 4.3 million pi unlocked in the last 24 hours and now free to be traded on the open markets. So this user says, "Good day, Dave. I observed that many pioneers are no longer mining because they rely so much on the unnecessary information circulating the social media about dates and times." Now, this user is commenting about my comments about why the mining rate actually went up this month when it usually goes down. And that's typically indicative of a loss of interest or a lack of participation in the previous month with mining. And he's providing his opinion about why the mining rates are lower. And he's right. People get burned by their expectations. You know, they see all of this positive. Everyone wants to be so positive and think that the Pi network is going to bring them rainbows and unicorns and untold wealth. And they see these articles that feed into that and they latch onto it. And then when it's proven false or a date comes and goes, they're disheartened. And you get enough of that and people give up. Now, there are people who thought that, after 6 years of mining, that somehow we would magically be in a wonderful place now instead of building now. And that's disheartened a lot of people. So there's a lot of reasons why people become disenchanted with the Pi network. But definitely falling for all. This is what I'm saying. False hype hurts the project. And this is another way that it does it. It disheartens people. It turns people away from the project when they keep having their hopes and dreams dashed based on false information. And I'm not going to read the rest of this, but he says, "Be courageous, Mr. Dave." Well, that's what I am. I'm always courageous, and I do wish Pi Network to go to the moon. Now, I've been criticized before, the coin's at 23 cents. What do you mean the moon? It's like, I'm not talking about price. What I'm talking about is success. I want the Pi network to be successful. I want their success to skyrocket. I want it to break the stratosphere and reach the moon and beyond. That doesn't mean necessarily that the price of the Pi coin is going to do that. Who knows what the price of the Pi coin is going to do? But you know what? It's not going to do anything unless the rest of the project is successful. And I measure my distance between here and the moon by that success. So I stand by my comment, Pi to the moon. And this user asks, "Hi Dave, as always, thanks for your video and your digging into CD games. Question: why do you think is PiCore team choosing wordings like very experienced, etc., with regard to them, while it is quite obvious that it is the opposite? Curious for your thoughts. Cheers." Well, that is the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? Their blog post made it seem like this company had quite the track record for delivering, top quality games and with a top-notch framework. Not that it was a startup that doesn't really have anything. How can you say they've got a track record of anything other than raising money, maybe, if it's a startup? But they did say that. They did say that they have a proven track record for gaming. And you have to question either they're completely lying or delusional or just hyping it beyond sense, which I have a hard time believing the PyCore team would do. Another thing, a thought occurs to me. I showed you the domain registration for this company, and everything was hidden. It was all hidden behind a firewall put up by Cloudflare. And I questioned why they would do that. Why would you want to be sneaky? And it occurs to me that it's possible, just possible. I'm speculating here, so please take this with a grain of salt. That this company is quite well known and does have quite the track record, but they operate under a different name. And they created this name as like a subsidiary or an offshoot or a child company from the parent company, specifically to work with the Pi network. And in that case, they would have quite the pedigree based on their original company or their core company, but would have absolutely no history under this new company. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're giving us a hint that this company is actually out there and it's mature, but we just don't see that because they're hiding behind this new name called CD Games and obfuscating their data. I don't know. Again, this is pure speculation on my part. But the pieces fit, so we'll see. I suspect we'll get more information as time goes on. Thanks for the question. Well, that's all I've got for today. As I said, there's not much going on. So, if you have questions or topics that you'd like me to discuss on my shows, I'm always looking in the comments for things that I could talk to that may help other users. So please don't hesitate to comment and ask questions. I'll never make you feel bad about asking a question or making a statement, unless you're obviously a troll. If you have legitimate questions, if you're truly a scholar or a pupil of the Pi network and you want to know more, or you want me to look into more, just leave it in the comments and I'll do what I can. So if anything breaks, I'll be sure to hop on and let you know. But until then, don't panic, stay the course. And remember, the success of the Pi network begins with you. Pi to the moon. Peace.